Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. You are repeating the past. They say that if you do not know your history, you are sure to repeat it. And that's what's happening here. You are repeating the past. There was a time, years, centuries ago, that there weren't enough children, and the people then in power wanted more children. And what did they do? They took the stock that they had and they put them together in barns. And for some reason, it wasn't so easy. Not so easy, because females knew their fathers, knew their brothers, knew their sons, knew the uncles, and they knew these people that they were supposed to replenish the stock with. They knew them. So it was not so easy. Okay? So they had to cover their heads. They had to cover their heads. You have to bury your head in the sand. Pretend you don't know what's happening. Okay, they had to bury their heads in the sand. And then back then too, there was an issue of nutrition. And it was not so easy for anything to stick, like a child to stay in the womb, because of nutrition. And you see here, it's being played out here, cost of living. Okay, cost of living. And then because of the issues that were happening back then, people were stressed. And that stress manifested in NCDs. There's nothing that you are going through now that you didn't go through centuries ago. Okay, you are repeating the past, because you can buy a lipstick, because you can buy a phone, a cell phone, because you can do a certain amount of things that you could not have done back then. You think that you have come of age. You're thinking that you have come of age. You're thinking that things are different. You're thinking that this is the 21st century and these things can't be happening, but you're repeating the past. You are repeating the past. There's nothing that I saw written here in this article that is not reminiscent of the past. Okay? But if you don't know it, you can't refer to it. Even oral history is good history if it's speaking with truth. Okay? Even oral history is good history. Written history is revised. They cannot possibly, there's no way in heaven or hell that they can write everything that was done on the pages of history. There's no way. Absolutely no way. But what you see here with this guy saying, it's not so easy. That's what Anderson is saying. It's not so easy what you're asking people to do. It wasn't easy back then too. Because back then you had to bury your head in the sand. But even within doing that, you knew you were burying your head in the sand. And when you know that you are burying your head in the sand, and you don't want to acknowledge that your head is buried in the sand, and you want to walk around thinking you're not going to bump into things because your head is buried in the sand, you're going to have NCDs. It's going to affect you. It will affect you. Okay? And if your head is buried in the sand and you don't know who is doing what to you, you're going to have other things happening in the body. Other things are going to creep up in the body when it's, Tom, Dick, and Harry. Things will creep up in your body. And all of that is bad for the human psyche. The psychological part of who we are as human beings is bad for that. It's very bad for that. So not so easy Anderson Langdon is in your paper talking about the population decline and the birth rate, and tackling the birth rate and asking people to make more children, and you not referring to history. You not referring to history to see that it's a repeat. It's a repeat of history. You're poor. Okay? You're poor. You are messing with people who are messing with other people, so that brings the STIs here. You see here? Yeah. Okay? And usually this starts with moving from the human domain to the beast domain, like the wild animals. It comes, when you're doing things to animals. That's where it originated. Maybe you knew, or maybe you didn't know. And I always say, if you don't know, you need to ask somebody where these things originated, and you will see it didn't originate with you. It didn't originate with you, the female. It didn't start there. And then you were like, well, how did he get it? Ask somebody. Okay? And then you talk about the NCDs. You think that eating yams can give you NCDs? No. Stress. All the stress. Or the white bread you're eating because you're poor. Or the sweet drinks you're drinking because you're poor. Same thing like centuries ago. Same situation like centuries ago. But back then, you will cry out for Jesus. Jesus. You cry out for Jesus back then. But you don't need Jesus now, do you? You have Rihanna. You have Beyonce. You have, who was Taylor Swift. You have Cardi B. Jay-Z. You don't need Jesus now. You don't need Jesus. You have your celebrities. And you're pretending to be celebrities. You don't need no Jesus. Okay? So it will continue. This will continue. And this will continue. It will continue. Okay? And the government, meaning the government, can give you incentives. Like back then, your overseers gave incentives that, they improved your food. You have food baskets, right, in Barbados, right? They talk, what do they call it? Food hampers, or whatever they call it. Yeah, that's the same thing they did back then. They gave you better food to eat, so that, when you did get pregnant, the baby, it accommodated a pregnant female, the better food. Same thing is happening now with you that happened then. Nothing has changed, really. Nothing has changed, okay? Your head is in the sand. Your head is in the sand, and because you're wearing, like I say, lipstick, and because, you have on some high heels, or, you have on some shoes because, you're wearing shoes, you think that you're in a better situation, but your head is in the sand, just like it was back then. The only people who ventured to self-regulate, well, you can see what's happening to them now, right? They call them the poorest of the Western Hemisphere, Haiti. I think that they were the only ones who even dared to assert and say, I am a man. And you will treat me as a man. You will come at me as though you're talking and dealing with an equal. Even barbecue there in Haiti is saying, yeah, I don't mind the government, but they have to acknowledge me. I have to be part of it. I have to be, heard. Okay, so it's a difference when you assert yourself and you see what happens when that happens, and because it's not happening in the place where you are. We're talking about Barbados. You should know that there's docility. You don't find that in other places. Really, not the type you find in Barbados. That's why, you think You think that you have it made. You think that everything is okay. But, you know, it's okay because you're okay with it. It's okay just as long as you just stand in your lane. Stay in your lane and stand in your place. Know your place, okay? So what is happening now? You're repeating the past. This is the same thing that happened hundreds of years ago and is still with you. And Mia Motley should tell you that you're living in the past. You're repeating the past when she talks about children and, you know, the decline and poverty and the NCDs and, you know, other STIs. And she should tell you that what you are seeing is a repeat. And if you're repeating the past, it means you're not moving into a future. It means you're not moving into a future. And that's up to you. You have to decide. You're going to have to decide. This is Sherry Veronica.